Right now at 5, a late night traffic stop turns into a pursuit.
And we've got an alert day out today. The dangerous heat returning. Heat index values up to 110, maybe a pinch higher for some of us. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, the Homeless Coalition of Jasper and Newton counties hosts a networking event for anyone struggling with homelessness.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So after starting off, relatively nice with temperatures yesterday, just a lot of dense fog, we've now switched gears. It's back to summertime across the 4 states. And we've got dangerous heat out there to talk about again. I was really hoping we were starting to get to a point where we don't have to talk about it as much, but we're not there yet.
The dog days of summer, they just keep coming.
They certainly do. They're not letting go. Now we've got an alert day today for dangerous heat again. We have heat advisories for all of the counties highlighted in orange that run until 8 o'clock. And then we've got heat advisories for Craig, Nowata, and Washington counties in northeastern Oklahoma, excessive heat warnings that also run through 8 o'clock tonight. So for the majority of us, we're looking at heat index values up to about 110 degrees, but in those excessive heat warnings could go as high as 115. So we're back to this. We want to remind you, I know we've done it a lot, but hey, we do it every time we have severe weather. We remind you of your safety tips. So we're back to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit those strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on the elderly and the pets. Now, here comes the flip side of this coin. We also have the possibility of some strong, maybe severe thunderstorms as we head into the evening hours tonight. We have very low tornado risk. As you can see, no areas highlighted, but we do have a low to elevated hail risk and a low to elevated wind risk, primarily along and north of Interstate 44. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is what we were talking about yesterday. We're looking more so at pop-up storms out there as we head into the evening, but those pop-up storms have a little more energy to work with, so it may not take much for one or two of them to get a little bit strong or possibly severe. So as we head into the evening, here we go, 8 o'clock in our northern counties. We've got a few of these thunderstorms out there, but as you can see, as we lose the heating of the day, they die out relatively quickly. We have additional strong, possibly severe thunderstorm chances as we head into our Sunday across the area. We're going to talk about that and what next week looks like here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, a late-night attempted traffic stop turns into a pursuit in Aurora, Missouri. Police there tried a traffic stop near Baldwin Park, but the driver failed to pull over. Officers chased the vehicles down several streets. Lawrence County Sheriff's Office joined the chase, and authorities were able to safely stop the vehicle. Authorities arrested the driver, Justin Brown of Aurora, on suspicion of multiple charges, including driving while intoxicated. Brown, an absconder from the Missouri Department of Corrections, also had warrants for his arrest to be returned to their custody. And authorities respond to reports of a stabbing incident in Galena. Authorities say this woman, Miranda Porter, is being held for aggravated battery and interference with a law enforcement officer. It happened Thursday morning around 10:30. Galena police were notified of a male subject with a stab wound in the area of 23rd and Main Street. When they arrived, they located a male with a stab wound to the abdomen. He was taken by EMS to a local hospital. Police found Porter in the home where the stabbing apparently occurred. And a Granby, Missouri man is dead from an early morning crash. At about 3 yesterday morning, a vehicle crossed the railroad tracks on Wallaby Road, 3 miles west of Pierce City. The driver lost control and the vehicle traveled off the right side of the road and down an embankment, where it then turned over. All 4 of the passengers suffered serious injuries. The driver, 21-year-old Trenton Wilson of Granby, died at the scene. Authorities confirm one of the 4 girls injured in a lightning strike at an Oklahoma swimming spot has died. The girls were swimming at Blue Hole Park in Mays County Saturday when lightning struck. The Grand River Dam Authority says 1 girl has now died of her injuries. 3 other girls have been released from the hospital. Authorities have not given names or ages. The Homeless Coalition of Jasper and Newton counties hosted a networking event for anyone struggling with homelessness. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has the details.
Twice a year, the Homeless Coalition hosts Project Homeless Connection, this time having over 20 vendors with resources.
To get some community vendors and services all in one place in order to provide information and help to our homeless folks in the community.
There were at least 3 vendors with resources for veterans struggling with homelessness. The networking event was a great opportunity for vets trying to get their foot in the door.
Well, I'm staying in. House Inc. out there is transitional housing for veterans, the GPD program through the VA. I've been homeless, I guess, off and on for about the past 10 years. I've bounced around a lot. I just came from Vegas.
Russo says he figured that settling down in Joplin would do him some good. After all, he graduated from Joplin High School back in '92.
I'm on a fixed income, but I really kind of make enough to handle it on my own. So I'm just waiting to find somewhere, get my check, next month or whatever. Probably find my own place, apartment or something like that. Come the end of the month.
Ruza is just one of the millions of veterans who are able to apply for benefits such as from the PACT Act. The PACT Act recently received a deadline extension from August 10th to the 14th to ensure that no veteran or survivor will miss out on a single day of backdated benefits.
All veterans, whether homeless or not, they need to file for all of their benefits. I mean, even if you're well off, you should at least file for your benefits because that gets you within the VA system.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The next Project Homeless Connection is planned for January. And for veterans who still need to apply for the PACT Act, the VA extends the deadline through Monday for benefits backdated to August 10th. The VA made this decision after experiencing technical difficulties with its website due to extremely high demand. The VA has fixed the issues with the website and is working on decreasing call center wait times. If you are a veteran who hasn't yet applied, go to va.gov/PACT. A health insurance company is making sure Kansans with disabilities have access to dental care. Aetna donated $30,000 to Oral Health Kansas, Inc.'s Pathways to Oral Health program. The program looks to increase dental care for people with disabilities by training professionals on the specific needs of those people. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we take you to Carl Junction to take a peek at what fans can expect from the football season this year. Plus, we'll have why West Nile virus is worsening due to climate change. And it's an alert day today, so stay hydrated. We'll have more details about this alert day with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Well, we're only a couple of weeks away from high school football kicking off in the state of Missouri. And here at KOAM, we're stopping by as many practices as we can to give you an in-depth look. Now, yesterday morning, that brought us to Carl Junction High School. The Bulldogs are coached by Todd Hafner. It's his first year back after holding the head coach position for 3 years in the late 90s. The Bulldogs went 4-7 a year ago, returned 16 starters from that team. And even though expectations outside the program might be low, they're not letting that bring them down.
We have to get better every day. I know it's so cliche, but at this point, with so many things being new, getting better is going to be key. And then the other thing we talk about is compete. We got to compete on every snap, whether it's a practice rep, whether it's an individual rep, or whatever it is. And I think our kids have done a really good job of that, and we're excited about what's happening right now.
We've done a lot of things, put a lot of new stuff in because the new coach and everything, but I love everything we've been doing, and it's been fun. I expect us to be a lot better than other people think of us because they just don't see what we're doing out here right now, and we're doing a lot better than everyone expects.
Elsewhere, Mount Vernon football is another school that returned several starters from last season. In 2021, the Mountaineers went 1-10 last season. They flipped that into an 8-4 record, but year in and year out, they go through the gauntlet of a schedule while playing in the Big 8 Conference, and head coach Tom Cox is excited to see how his team is able to navigate those waters in 2023.
What's crazy now about the Big 8, I just love it because we play 3 crossover games. They're all good opponents. We play 6 on the east side. You've got Reed Spring that is coming off of playing in the state championship game. You got Raj that we haven't beaten in a couple of years, and you got all those teams are really, really solid. Our schedule with the rotation now is we play all 5 Class 4 schools. We've been Class 2 the last 2 years, and so I think it's kind of a double-edged sword for us. If we can survive that, then we've got a much better chance in the playoffs. It gets us ready for that. But if we get beat up, then it becomes a whole different set of problems for us.
Still to come, Australian police identify a murdered woman whose body was found inside a concrete wall. Plus, we got another check of that hot forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:15 now on this finally Friday in the 4 states. And unfortunately, Friday has not brought us good news. It's brought us dangerous heat again. We have heat advisories for all the counties in orange, and we have excessive heat warnings in northeastern Oklahoma, and they all run through 8 o'clock tonight. So in the orange, we're expecting heat index values could reach as high as 110, and if you're in those excessive heat warnings in Washington, Nowata, and Craig counties, we're looking at heat index values possibly up to 115. So quick reminder, stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit those strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on the elderly, and don't leave your pets outside. We also have the possibility of some strong, maybe severe thunderstorms out there. Now, we're looking at pop-up storms. We mentioned this yesterday. We are genuinely looking at pop-up storms. However, there's enough energy out there. Some of them could pick up intensity rather quickly and get a little nasty. As you can see, we have a very low tornado threat. There's no area specifically highlighted right now. We have that low to elevated hail risk and a low to elevated wind risk along and north of I-44. Now, again, as we look at the future track, these are pop-up storms. We may only see 1 or 2 thunderstorms this evening, but there's enough energy out there that those 1 or 2 storms could get nasty pretty quickly, and then that's going to be it. Then we head into tomorrow morning. We have the possibility of some additional strong, possibly severe thunderstorms across the region, and those will clear out as we head towards sunrise. We'll spend the majority of our Saturday dry, and then we'll see another round of strong, possibly severe thunderstorms as we go overnight into early Sunday morning. Here we are, 3, 4, 5 a.m., another round of showers and thunderstorms Sunday. We'll have some scattered showers throughout our Sunday, and then as we head into Sunday evening, we have another round of potentially strong to severe thunderstorms that will start to roll in as we go overnight Sunday. So we've got that low to elevated risk today, scattered thunderstorms for us on our Saturday, and then Sunday we have another elevated risk for strong to severe thunderstorms across a good portion of the area. So a lot to watch here over the next few days. In Joplin right now, we are 72 degrees out there, so still not a bad start. I mean, look, Iola 68, 69, Yates Center 67, Neodesha 73, Miami 72, Neosho, but it's not going to take much for us to warm up today. So that's why we have the alert day for that dangerous heat. Mostly clear skies, mid-80s by late morning. Start to see a few increasing clouds by the mid-afternoon. We're going to go mid, maybe even some upper 90s out there. And as we head into this evening, we continue to see the increasing clouds. We're looking at the possibility of those pop-up storms, and we'll go back into the low to mid-70s overnight under those mostly cloudy skies. Our thunderstorm chances tomorrow and Sunday, mid to upper 90s Saturday, mid-90s Sunday, cooler on Monday, pretty nice. And we'll see some decent at least sky conditions, but as we head into the middle of next week, temperatures return back into the upper 90s near 100. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, some scientists are worried climate change might make West Nile virus more prevalent. That's because warmer temperatures and more rain make it easier for mosquitoes to reproduce. They're the vectors responsible for transmitting the disease to humans. Those same conditions also make it easier for the virus to replicate. Not only could climate change make cases more common in areas where West Nile has been reported, it may also help the virus spread to areas that haven't seen it yet. Germany reported its first case in 2021, and West Nile can bring unpleasant symptoms like headaches, joint pains, rashes, vomiting, and diarrhea. Most people recover fully with no issues, but about 1 in 150 patients develop brain or nervous system infections that can be fatal. And the U.S. is still experiencing massive medication shortages, and it's having serious effects on patient care. According to a new survey from the University of Utah Drug Information Service, there were 309 active medication shortages in the second quarter of the year. That's the most in nearly a decade. About 1/3 of healthcare system pharmacists say they have been forced to ration, delay, or cancel treatments or procedures. The American Society of Health System Pharmacists is recommending policy solutions to address issues. And a new study shows access to drinking water can reduce childhood obesity. Researchers in California looked at 1,200 students at 18 schools in the Bay Area. In half the schools, they installed water dispensaries and water bottle filling stations, but also gave the kids bottles and told them it's important to drink water throughout the day. After 15 months, the students at the schools where no changes were made were 7 times more likely to be overweight. The study published in the journal Pediatrics doesn't explain why. One expert says he has found children who don't drink enough water consume 2 times more calories from sugary beverages. And more people died from suicide in the U.S. last year than any other year on record. That's according to provisional data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC says more than 49,000 lives were lost due to intentional self-harm in 2022. Guns were involved in more than half of all those suicides. The suicide rate spiked in 2021 after 2 years of decline. And with the continued increase in 2022, rates rose above the previous record from 2018. The data won't be final until later this year. And the number of new cases of long COVID are on the decline. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that the number of U.S. adults diagnosed with long COVID is down 7.5% from June 2022 to June 2023. While the news is encouraging, an estimated 23 million U.S. patients are struggling with the condition. Long COVID includes respiratory, neurological, cardiovascular, and other symptoms that can last weeks, months, or years. The most common symptom is extreme fatigue, with 1 in 4 patients surveyed saying they struggle with daily activities like holding down a job or going to a grocery store. And there's a new coronavirus variant leading the charge in the U.S., causing more new COVID-19 cases in the country than any other variant, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Amanda Gaither has more on EG5 and what an expert says you can expect from it.
It's being called a variant of interest by the World Health Organization. EG5 is another Omicron offshoot and behind about 17% of new COVID-19 cases in the U.S.
So for now, it seems that it may have increased transmissibility, but it does not seem to be posing more of a threat to public health than other variants.
So far, EG5 has been detected in 51 countries, its global presence doubling over the last month, with China having the largest portion, about 1/3 of reported cases, followed by the US, South Korea, Japan, Canada, Australia, Singapore, and the UK at 2%. EG5 was upgraded from a variant under monitoring because global health officials believe it should be tracked and further studied, says Dr. Audie Shaw with Mayo Clinic.
So that we can keep an eye on the data and make further determination as to if this is more risky or leading to more hospitalizations.
Right now, the U.S. is seeing a rise in COVID-19 cases, emergency room visits, and hospitalizations, but it's unclear if this specific strain is driving those increases. Health experts believe the record heat driving people indoors and summer travel may be helping to drive the uptick. An updated COVID booster is expected by fall.
Because the booster is targeted against XBB, and which is the strain of the Omicron family that EG5 is related to or comes from. So potentially it should protect against EG5 as well.
Dr. Shaw says if you're at high risk of getting severely sick from COVID-19, make sure to stay up to date on COVID boosters and continue taking precautions like hand washing and wearing a mask in crowds, especially if there's a large number of COVID cases being reported in your area. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves an alert day today as dangerous heat returns to the 4 states. We're talking heat index values up to 110. We're also watching the possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorms as we head into the weekend. We'll have the latest on your forecast coming up.
Right now at 5:30, a coffee shop in Knoll, Missouri sets up shop to help those affected by the Tyson plant closing.
We've got ourselves another alert day today for dangerous heat returning to the 4 states with heat advisories out there. We'll talk about that and our strong to severe thunderstorm threat coming up.
Also, gather your friends and head out on the town as Pittsburgh gets a national touring comedian heading to it.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. And Chris, you okay over there, buddy?
There was a spider that dropped on my head.
What?
Oh. Okay. I think I got it.
Good.
Right as I was finishing about the heat, I'm not kidding, there was a spider that dropped on my head. I'm not going back over there for a while. I do not do spiders. Well, we do have an alert day today because we do have dangerous heat across the area, and maybe that's why that spider is in here, because he knows what's getting ready to happen outside. We have heat advisories for all the counties in orange, and those run until 8 o'clock tonight. We also have excessive heat warnings for Washington, Newada, and Craig counties in northeast Oklahoma. We could see heat index values up to 110 for the heat advisory areas and potentially up to 115 for those of you with the excessive heat warnings. So we want to remind you to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit those strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothes, check on the elderly, and don't leave your pets outside too long. Outside of that, we have the attendant threat for strong, possibly severe thunderstorms later this evening. Overnight, and later this evening and overnight, we have very low tornado risk. That's the good news. You can see no areas highlighted, but we have a low to elevated hail threat and a low to elevated wind threat, primarily north of I-44. And that's with the possibility of some pop-up storms later this evening, and then maybe a few more thunderstorms as we head just before sunrise tomorrow. So if we see some pop-up storms, there's going to be just enough energy this evening. A couple of them could go strong, possibly severe. Excuse me. Then we go overnight. Early morning, we have another batch of showers and thunderstorms that's going to roll through. Those could be strong, potentially severe. Then with the rest of our Thursday, maybe a couple of scattered thunderstorms here and there. Otherwise, we're going to stay partly cloudy to mostly clear. We're also going to get hot again. Then we'll go into Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Here comes another round of thunderstorms. Early Sunday morning, these could potentially be strong, maybe severe out there, with wind and hail being the primary threats. We'll have scattered showers and storms throughout our Sunday, and then we'll see another potential batch of strong to severe thunderstorms as we go late evening and into the overnight hours on our Sunday into Monday. And as such, we just have the scattered thunderstorm chances for Saturday, and then we have that elevated risk for a good portion of the area as we head into our Sunday. So a lot to keep an eye on. We're starting off pretty decently this morning. We are at 72 in Joplin, and again, our temperatures around the area, not bad. 67 Iola, 70 Chanute, 71 Chitopa, 72 Miami, Neosho, and Carthage. So not a bad start. It is going to heat up, and it's going to do so quickly. We'll have another full look at your forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. The Homeless Coalition of Jasper and Newton counties hosted a networking event for anyone struggling with homelessness. Twice a year, the coalition hosts Project Homeless Connection with multiple area vendors and services. Those services include legal aid, employment programs, veteran benefits, and more. Members of the community who are struggling with housing say this networking event connects them to friendly and understanding resources.
Society is not very friendly to people that are less fortunate, and that's probably one of the biggest obstacles that are out here. Thank God for organizations like House Inc. and
the next Project Homeless Connection is planned for January. And the Kansas Department of Agriculture gave residents in southeast Kansas a chance to learn about plans for a new flood insurance rate map. They hosted a meeting at the Erie Public Library where local food experts could discuss how the new map would impact personal property. An updated map could determine whether some should get flood insurance and how much it would cost.
More accurate topography, helps create more accurate floodplain maps, because being more accurate within a foot of the ground elevation is a lot more accurate than the older maps that are still effective, that are within like 10 feet or so of the actual elevation. So really we're trying to bring more accurate floodplain mapping.
The new flood plan map will not go into effect until 2025. Local and regional businesses are trying to find ways to support the McDonald County residents who will lose their jobs when the Tyson plant closes in Knoll. It's a race to help about 1,500 soon-to-be unemployed workers and their families. Common Cup, a coffee shop located only 5 minutes from the Tyson plant, will offer resume and job application help on Saturdays starting this weekend. They'll have computers and translators available for those who need them, as part of the Tyson workforce doesn't speak English as their first language.
We're just going to be here to help as many people to transition to whatever's next for them as we can. And it's going to be free. We're going to have just black coffee for everyone to drink who's here, and free coffee for anyone who wants to volunteer.
Put it into perspective for people outside of McDonald County, this is about 25% of their workforce within the county. I mean, it's a lot of jobs are being lost.
Access Family Care will also offer support to Tyson's current employees. Their application counselors will help those affected transition to Marketplace insurance or Medicaid if needed. Access Medical Care will also provide an income-based discount program to make access to medical, dental, and behavioral health services affordable. You can also find more information in our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And the world's largest pork processor, Smithfield Foods, is closing a total of 35 hog farms in 3 Missouri communities. The company is closing 13 farms in Newton, 12 in Lucerne, and 10 in Princeton. Another 92 employees will be laid off in October. What better way to cool down on a hot summer day than with a refreshing shower? Yesterday afternoon, the Chinook Fire Department hosted a spray day at Katy Park. Kids of all ages came out to splash around and have a great time beating the heat.
Well, I found out that this week they were closing the pool down because they had back to school events, and so they were closing the pool down to get everybody ready to go back to school. They'll open it back up for the weekend, but I just kind of wanted to do something for the kids before they go back to school.
Because they love water, and this is kind of an end of the summer thing because all the pools are closed, so this is kind of a last chance for them to get wet and be kids.
And Spray Day was a lot of fun for the kids that attended that event. A national touring comedian is on his way to Pittsburgh this weekend. Jay Yoder is a public school teacher by day and comedian by night. He's currently on tour with a group of other comedians known as the Bored Teachers. They'll stop by the 5th Street Bar and Grill tonight at 7:30, the first time such an event has taken place at this venue.
Style for me is my life. I lived a crazy life, and now I'm here to talk about it on stage. I think one of the things during the pandemic, we realized moments matter, and my family wasn't laughing a lot, and I don't think a lot of families were laughing a lot because we didn't know what was going on. And so really out of that came my act, where I just kind of looked at myself as a father, myself as a son, as a teacher, and just bringing my life to the stage so that we can all relate and laugh.
The musical guest Seth Horn kicks off the night. That's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour of the KOAM Morning News. Hip-hop turns 50 years old today. We'll have not only how the U.S. is celebrating, but the world is celebrating as well. Plus, scientists in Australia discover a new species of giant amphibian. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. But first, here's a live look from Armacanza in honor of the town's homecoming festivities. Topping World Watch, police in Australia have identified the remains of a woman whose body was hidden inside the wall of an apartment complex for more than a decade. Police used DNA to positively identify Tanya Lee Glover. They believe she was killed in the early 2000s and may have been about 38 years old when she died. Cleaners discovered the remains behind a concrete wall in the basement of an apartment complex in Brisbane last December. Her body was found partially buried and was tightly wrapped in clothing and bedding. Police say no one reported her missing. Her parents told authorities that she had lost contact with them. Detectives want anyone who may have known Glover or had any interactions with her, particularly during 2006 to 2010, to get in touch with authorities. And scientists have discovered a new species of giant amphibian after its fossil was found in Australia. The 248-million-year-old fossil was inside quarry rocks that were intended for constructing a wall. The new species has been named Arena reptin sapinitis, which means supine sand creeper. It is believed to have inhabited freshwater rivers during the Triassic period. Scientists say the fossil shows nearly the entire skeleton and the outline of its skin. It's rare for something this old to be found intact and with the soft tissue preserved. The fossil is set to be displayed at the Australian Museum, Sydney, later this year. And remarkable video of an 11-month-old Asian elephant enticing others to play as they try to sleep. The Whipsnade Zoo in England released this footage ahead of World Elephant Day on Saturday. It offers unique insight into the nocturnal habits of these majestic creatures. World Elephant Day launched in 2012 to bring attention to the plight of the Asian and African elephants. They are one of the most persecuted species in the world. hunted for their ivory and facing habitat loss because of drought or human conflicts. To celebrate World Elephant Day, visit a zoo, donate to an elephant refuge, or just learn more about these magnificent creatures. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 5:46 now on this finally Friday. And Friday usually brings with us good news because we're heading into the weekend. Unfortunately, it's brought us heat advisories across the area and some excessive heat warnings into northeast Oklahoma. All of these kick in later this afternoon, run through 8 o'clock. So in the heat advisory area, heat index values to 110 are possible. And in the excessive heat warning area, we could see heat index values up to 115. We got to remind you got to stay hydrated, take those frequent breaks, limit those outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on the elderly, and do not leave your pets outside for too long. Later this evening and overnight, we do have the possibility of some strong, maybe severe thunderstorms. Now, our tornado risk, as you can see, is very low. We don't have any areas highlighted right now, but we do have a low to elevated hail and wind risk, primarily north of I-44 as we head into the evening and into the overnight hours. As we go through today, whereas initially been today, mostly clear, partly cloudy, and while the increasing clouds later in the evening, then we could see a couple of pop-up storms this evening, and those could be strong, low-grade severe, and then early tomorrow morning, we have this batch of showers and thunderstorms, which could be, again, strong, possibly severe, with some hail and damaging wind gusts. And again, that's why you saw that tracking across right along and north of I-44, and that's where the better opportunities are for some of those stronger storms. We'll have a few scattered showers through our Saturday, otherwise partly cloudy skies. We heat back up again into the mid to upper 90s, and then as we go into early Sunday morning, we get another round of strong, possibly severe thunderstorms with wind and hail being the primary risks with these. These will pass through sunrise, and then we'll have some scattered showers and thunderstorms through the majority of our Sunday. But as you can see, they're going to be very widely scattered. We're not expecting all-day rain. And then they clear out by early to mid-afternoon. And as we go overnight again Sunday into Monday morning, we see another batch of potentially strong to severe thunderstorms roll through the area. And as such, we do have an elevated risk for us as we head into our Sunday for additional strong to severe thunderstorms. Right now in Joplin, we've got a great start to our Friday, but don't let this fool you. It is going to get hot today. We're sitting at 72, and temperatures across the region, again, not much different from where they were yesterday. It seems pleasant. It's just not going to stay that way. 68 in Iola, 72 Fort Scott, 70 Pittsburgh, Independence, 74 Miami, and 72 Neosho, Carthage, Lamar, and Anderson. As we get our morning started, again, we'll have initially mostly clear skies, and we're looking pretty decent, but we warm up quickly. We go in the mid-80s by late morning, and as we head into the afternoon hours, temperatures warm up quickly. We got the increasing cloud cover, only slightly initially, so we go partly cloudy by mid-afternoon, temperatures mid to upper 90s. And as we head into the evening, again, north of I-44, a couple of pop-up showers or thunderstorms possible. The rest of us will be partly to mostly cloudy, and then we go overnight 73 for the low, and then we'll see those thunderstorm chances return about 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. Those will clear out. We're going to go mid to upper 90s again tomorrow afternoon, so we're going to watch the possibility. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some additional heat advisories out there. Still around the mid-90s Sunday, but we'll have those thunderstorm chances with us. And then we'll cool down Monday and Tuesday, back mid-80s to around 90. Unfortunately, the heat does make an encore appearance as we go toward the middle and end of next week. Temperatures go right back up, upper 90s to around 100 degrees heading into next weekend. And we do have at least some pop-up storm chances Friday and Saturday of next week, but a lot to keep an eye on over the next few days. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be right back after this. But first, got another live look from Arma in honor of the homecoming festivities.
Music's most popular genre is celebrating a milestone. On this day, 50 years ago, hip-hop was born. The industry has generated billions of dollars and created some of the biggest stars in the world. Skylar Henry sat down with one of the hip-hop legends that started it all.
Happy birthday to hip-hop.
Put your hands in the air! Multi-generational, 50 years from the Bronx to TikTok to the whole world.
Artists from the culture-changing genre have reached the top of music charts and fanned out into fashion, business, and even sports. But to see how it's grown, Clive Campbell, known globally as DJ Kool Herc and credited as one of hip-hop's pioneers, says you have to know how it started. In the early 1970s, hip-hop's counterculture rose in the face of poverty, gang violence, and crime in New York. Herc and his family immigrated from Jamaica, where he was influenced by a range of musicians and genres.
Music ain't got no color. No color. If it's good, I'm gonna play it. No matter what, I'm gonna play it.
Herc and his sister Cindy say they never thought their Bronx back-to-school recreation room party 50 years ago, where Cindy made the party flyers and an 18-year-old Herc spun records, would be so foundational to a new form of music.
As a Herc, you're going to be the DJ. He has all the music and the records and everything.
When Herc extended the record's breaks, or the beat in between verses, allowing the partiers to dance longer, a new phenomenon was born.
But it was more than just scratching records and having a good time. Herc says it was about bringing cultures together.
People picked it up and took it to the next level. Picked it up and took it, and that's what a culture does. You exchange.
That melting pot has influenced music entirely from then to now, putting the spotlight on regions across the country and around the world, allowing artists to add their own twist to the art form.
The people are the ones who recognize it. The people speak for you. You know, the people are the ones who said, yeah, you did this, we're thankful.
As the genre looks forward to the next half-century, Herc and Cindy say they're excited to see hip-hop to continue to evolve. Skylar Henry, CBS News, New York.
Herc, Cindy, and dozens of music heavyweights will be celebrating hip-hop's 50th birthday tonight in Yankee Stadium, just a few minutes from where it all started. The one-night-only concert will feature stars from every decade of hip-hop, including Snoop Dogg, Nas, and Lil Wayne. We'll be right back. Taylor Swift wrapped up the current run of her Eras Tour in Los Angeles Wednesday night with a big surprise. The pop superstar announced she would be re-releasing her first Grammy-winning album, 1989 Taylor's Version. On stage, Swift unveiled the cover art and release date, October 27th. On the big screen, and then the reaction from the crowd was huge. At one point, they cheered and applauded for a full 8 minutes. Swift later gave more details about the upcoming release. On Instagram, she called 1989 Taylor's Version her most favorite re-record ever. And a slice of ancient feces could hold evidence of coevolution in reptiles that lived hundreds of millions of years ago. That's according to a report published Wednesday in the PLOS1 journal. Paleontologists recently discovered parasitic infection in a fossilized feces of a reptile that lived around 252 million to 201 million years ago. And when they sliced apart the preserved feces, they found tiny organic structures resembling eggs. Scientists collected the preserved feces in 2010 and found that they represented at least 5 different types of parasites. They say this is important since it offers rare insights into ancient parasite-host relationships.
Okay. That's good to know. We've learned a lot today. Something else we need to keep in mind is we do have an alert date. I'm sorry, that's an interesting story. Okay. We have an alert date today. We have heat advisories with heat index values up to 110 degrees possible. We're going to warm up quickly. We're starting pleasant, but don't let that confuse you. We're going to have mostly clear skies through the morning hours and go mid-80s. And as we head into the afternoon, we are looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 90s. We'll start to see a few more clouds as we head into the evening, as we could see some pop-up storms this evening. Mainly north of I-44, and a couple of strong storms with small hail, gusty winds possible. And then we'll see additional thunderstorms overnight into early tomorrow morning, low 70s. And again, some strong, possibly severe thunderstorms with wind and hail being the primary threat are possible Saturday. Mid to upper 90s again, mid-90s Sunday. More strong severe thunderstorms possible then as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, we have an update on the 4 girls struck by lightning at an Oklahoma swimming hole.
And we've got ourselves an alert day today with heat advisories out there, heat index values up to 110 possible. We'll have the latest on your forecast coming up.
Plus, how a Southwest Missouri organization is helping connect veterans with healthcare benefits.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. Just after 6 a.m. now on this finally Friday. We have made it to Friday.
Yes, we did.
And boy, it has been a week here, at least at KOAM. Hopefully your week has been a little bit smoother than ours has been. No spiders dropping on you, no crazy things happening, no computers crashing. I hope your week's been pretty fantastic.
Always an adventure over here. Well, yes, it's been a good one.
It is. And that's the thing, is it strengthens the bond we all have with each other. And today's a great day to strengthen the bond indoors because we've got an alert day for dangerous heat returning to the 4 states. We've got heat advisories across most of the area for the counties highlighted in orange. And then we have excessive heat warnings in Washington, Nowata, and Craig counties in northeastern Oklahoma. All of these run until 8 o'clock. For the heat advisories, we're talking heat index values up to 110 possible. And for the excessive heat warnings, we're talking up to 115 possible. So remember, stay hydrated, take those frequent breaks, limit the outdoor activities, wear the lightweight, light-colored clothing, and check on the elderly and pets. Then heading later into the evening and overnight, we have a severe threat. So we have very low tornado risk, no areas highlighted, but we have a low to elevated hail risk and a low to elevated wind risk, mainly north of I-44, and that's with the possibility of some developing pop-up storms later this evening. There will only be a couple of those, but they could potentially be strong. And then as we head into the overnight hours, we'll see another batch of potentially strong to severe thunderstorms sweep across the area just before sunrise on our Saturday. We also have a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms as we head into our Sunday as well. We'll talk about your complete forecast and how long this heat lasts here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, authorities confirm one of the 4 girls injured in a lightning strike at an Oklahoma swimming spot has died. The girls were swimming at Blue Hole Park in Mays County Saturday when lightning struck. The Grand River Dam Authority says 1 girl has now died of her injuries. 3 other girls have been released from the hospital. Authorities have not given names or ages. A Granby, Missouri man is dead from an early morning crash. At about 3 yesterday morning, a vehicle crossed the railroad tracks on Wallaby Road 3 miles west of Pierce City. The driver lost control of the vehicle, traveled off the right side of the road and down an embankment where it overturned. All 4 of the passengers suffered serious injuries. The driver, 21-year-old Trenton Wilson of Granby, died at the scene. And a late-night attempted traffic stop turns into a pursuit in Aurora, Missouri. Police there tried a traffic stop near Baldwin Park, but the driver failed to pull over. Officers chased the vehicle down several streets. Lawrence County Sheriff's Office joined the chase, and authorities were able to safely stop the vehicle. Authorities arrested the driver, Justin Brown of Aurora, on suspicion of multiple charges, including driving while intoxicated. And Brown and Ab Conzer from the Missouri Department of Corrections also had warrants for his arrest to be returned to their custody. Authorities respond to reports of a stabbing incident in Galena. Authorities say this woman, Miranda Porter, is being held for aggravated battery and interference with a law enforcement officer. It happened yesterday morning around 10:30. Galena police were notified of a male subject with a stab wound in the area of 23rd and Main Street. When they arrived, they located a male with a stab wound to the abdomen. He was taken by EMS to a local hospital, and police found Porter in the home where the stabbing apparently occurred. The Homeless Coalition of Jasper and Newton counties hosted a networking event for anyone struggling with homelessness. Twice a year, the coalition hosts Project Homeless Connection with multiple area vendors and services. Those services include legal aid, employment programs, veteran benefits, and more. Members of the community who are struggling with housing say this networking event connects them to friendly and understanding resources.
Society's not very friendly to people that are less fortunate, and that's probably one of the biggest obstacles that are out here. Thank God for organizations like House Inc. and
The next Project Homelessness Connection is planned for January. And for veterans who still need to apply for the PACT Act, the VA extends the deadline through Monday for benefits backdated to August 10th. The VA made this decision after experiencing technical difficulties with its website due to extremely high demand. The VA has fixed the issues with the website and is currently working on decreasing call center wait times. If you are a veteran who hasn't yet applied, go to va.gov/PACT. A health insurance company is making sure Kansans with disabilities have access to dental care. Aetna donated $30,000 to Oral Health Kansas, Inc.'s Pathways to Oral Health program. The program looks to increase dental care for people with disabilities by training professionals on the specific needs of those people. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. At least 55 people have died and an unknown number of people are missing in the Hawaii wildfires. Plus, the Mississippi Supreme Court will not allow Brett Favre to walk away from a civil lawsuit over alleged welfare fraud. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Friday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from Arma, Kansas in honor of the town's homecoming festivities. Topping Nation Watch this morning, the Mississippi Supreme Court will not allow Brett Favre to walk away from a civil lawsuit over alleged welfare fraud. The 3-justice panel denied Favre's appeal to remove him from the suit Wednesday. The NFL Hall of Famer is one of more than 36 defendants being sued by the State Department of Human Services. The state is looking to recoup more than $70 million in misspent welfare funds. The money was supposed to go to families in need. Instead, it was used for projects pushed by wealthy people with political connections. Favre's attorneys have argued Mississippi's top court should allow him to be removed from the lawsuit since he did not benefit financially when the University of Southern Mississippi's athletic department received money from the state welfare agency. Favre also has not been criminally charged in the case, while several others have been charged and have already pleaded guilty in connection to the scheme. Thousands of migrants in New York City's emergency shelter system will have 60 days to find housing. That's according to a new rule that Mayor Eric Adams announced on Wednesday. Single adult migrants living in the facilities will have 2 months to find housing before the city forces them to vacate. The change in policy comes as the city struggles to house thousands of migrants that have arrived in the city in record numbers since last spring. Local lawmakers pushed back Thursday, criticizing the plan during an oversight hearing at City Hall. But Adams said the city's shelter system is at capacity and blamed a lack of state or federal help for the change in rules. He says they'll work with migrants to help them connect with friends and family or help them find other housing options. Talks are set to resume between the Writers Guild of America and major Hollywood studios. The Writers Guild told its members it expects the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers to respond to its proposals. Writers have been on a strike for more than 100 days. They are seeking higher salaries, better residuals from streaming platforms, and protections against artificial intelligence. The two sides have not met since last Friday. And Maui officials now confirm that at least 55 people have died in the tragic wildfires that engulfed the island this week. That number is expected to grow, while an unknown number of people are missing. The state's governor is calling it the largest natural disaster in the state's history. CBS News' Jessica Cartaglia.
These are the smoldering ruins of the historic Hawaiian city of Lahaina.
We know that many people are suffering. The fatality numbers will climb.
Hawaii Governor Josh Green toured the devastation yesterday.
What we saw was likely the largest natural disaster in Hawaii's state history.
Local officials say no one could have predicted the massive wildfires that struck West Maui this week, fanned by strong winds as Hurricane Dora passed just south of the islands. Lahaina resident Liza Tobias walked back to her neighborhood days after fleeing the flames. She found her home in ruins. Her father Carlos is among the missing.
I wanted to force him to come with me, but he was very hard-headed and he didn't want to come.
Maui County officials are urging residents to stay away, with multiple smaller fires still burning in West Maui and many communities without power and water.
It's still very, very hazardous in the burn areas. Things are falling every minute around us.
Yesterday, President Biden approved a disaster declaration for Hawaii, clearing the way for federal assistance.
Our prayers with the people of Hawaii, but not just our prayers. Every asset we have will be available to them.
Shelters have been set up to accommodate the thousands who are now displaced. The governor says it will take several years and billions of dollars to rebuild. Jessica Cartaglia, CBS News, Maui.
FEMA officials are on the ground in Hawaii, and they are urging those affected by the wildfires to register in order to begin receiving federal assistance in the coming days. Hawaii Senator Brian Schatz also says congressional leaders may take up a bill to help get more federal funding to assist with Maui's long recovery. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now let's take it over to Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves an alert day today, so don't let this pleasant start to our morning fool you. We've got dangerous heat on the way as we head into the afternoon. We're also tracking the possibility of a couple of rounds of strong, maybe severe thunderstorms as we head into the weekend as well. We'll have the latest on your complete forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:15, coming up on 6:16 on this finally Friday, and we've got an alert day, and this is why we have dangerous heat out there. Heat advisories for the majority of the area and excessive heat warnings for parts of northeastern Oklahoma. All of these run through 8 o'clock. For the heat advisories, we're looking at heat index values up to 110 degrees possible, and in the excessive heat warnings, we're looking at index values up to 115 degrees. So we got to go back to reminding you, make sure you stay hydrated, take those frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, and check on the elderly, and don't leave your pets out too long. On top of that, we also have a severe threat heading into the overnight hours and then again on Sunday. Now, for this evening and overnight, we have a very low tornado risk. As you see, no areas highlighted right now. We also have a low to elevated hail risk and a low to elevated wind risk, and this is primarily north of I-44, and that is for two things. One, we could see a couple of pop-up storms north of I-44 as we head into the evening hours, and if we do, those pop-up storms could potentially be strong, maybe low-grade severe with some small hail and gusty winds. Then overnight into the very early morning hours on Saturday, we have another round of strong, potentially severe thunderstorms that'll roll through the area, and these will push on through, and these could also be strong to severe, again with large hail and damaging wind gusts being the primary risks. Could see a few lingering showers through the morning on Saturday, and then as we head into the afternoon, we clear out. We're going to get hot again tomorrow into the mid to upper 90s, so wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see another round of heat advisories across the area. Then we go into early Sunday morning. We have another round of strong, potentially severe thunderstorms that's going to roll through the area. And these will start to clear out just after sunrise. And we'll be left with isolated to widely scattered showers and storms as we head into the late morning. And then again, afternoon and evening hours, we clear back out, get into the low to mid 90s. And then Sunday into Monday morning, we've got another round of potentially strong to severe thunderstorms across the area. And as such, we do have another elevated risk as we head into our Sunday. So a lot going on, a lot to keep track of out there. Right now in Joplin, it is 73 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And again, don't let this nice start fool you. It's still going to get hot today. We got decent temperatures though. 68 Yates Center, Iola, 70 in Chanute, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, 67 Neodesha, 72 Miami, Neosho, and 73 in Carthage. So as we get our morning started, again, we're going to have those mostly clear skies going into the mid 80s by late morning, and then our highs today mid to upper 90s across the area with those heat index values upwards of 110 degrees there as well. So make sure you're taking precautions and staying safe. Start to see a few more clouds as we go into the evening, and then again north of I-44. Could see a pop-up storm or shower, and that could be strong, give small hail, gusty winds, and then the thunderstorm chances overnight as well as we go back into the lower 70s. Then as we head into the rest of our Saturday, again, mid to upper 90s possible. So again, another round of heat advisories, not necessarily out of the question. Then we'll get those additional strong, possibly severe thunderstorms as we go into our Sunday morning, and then again into our Sunday evening across the area in the overnight hours. Will be mid 90s, low to mid 90s. We cool back a little bit Monday and Tuesday, mid-80s Monday and right around 90 on Tuesday. Unfortunately, as we head into the rest of next week, temperatures soar again back into the upper 90s to right around 100 degrees by next weekend, and we see the return of some pop-up storms by next Friday and Saturday. So it's going to get hot. It's going to stay that way once again across the area, but at least we'll get a little bit of a break for us on our Monday and Tuesday. And the most important thing, I think, is the fact that we are getting some more much-needed rain chances across the 4 states as we head into the weekend. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning. For years, reaching 10,000 steps a day has been the goal, many trying to stay fit and healthy. But now a new study finds walking less than each day may be enough. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
Improving your health begins one step at a time, whether it's taking a stroll in the park or climbing a mountain, and many aim for that magic number.
10,000, and I do a lot more than that a day.
But now, new research suggests taking just 4,000 steps a day will start to lower your risk of dying from any cause.
Up to now, it has not been clear what is the optimal number of steps when we can see health benefits.
European researchers analyzed walking data from more than 220,000 people around the world, finding it benefits all walks of life.
And it doesn't stop there. Researchers also found just over 2,300 steps a day is enough to benefit your heart and blood vessels.
But take the new data in stride. The research showed a 15% decrease in the risk of dying from any cause with an increase of 1,000 steps, and a 7% reduction in dying from cardiovascular disease with 500 more daily steps. Not enough physical activity is blamed for 3.2 million deaths each year. That's the fourth leading cause worldwide, according to the World Health Organization.
That's my main reason why I go out and walking and jogging.
So putting your best foot forward is a step toward a healthier, longer life. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Health experts give these tips for helping people to walk. 1, find a friend or family member, take the stairs instead of an elevator, and set an hourly reminder to get up and move. Remember, you only need to hit 4,000 steps. And new data shows that suicides are on the rise in America. The CDC found suicide deaths increased 5% in 2021 and another 2.6% in 2022. Doctors say the nation needs to address what's become a growing mental health crisis. The greatest increases for suicides were among Americans 45 and older. Groups that saw declines in suicide rates include young people and Native Americans. And the number of people reporting long COVID is decreasing. A new study by the CDC found patients showing symptoms of long COVID declined from June 2022 to January 2023, but also found 1 in 4 long COVID patients still report significant limitations to their daily activities. Overall, about 16% of COVID patients say they have symptoms 1 year after catching the virus. And yoga and breathing exercises can help people with asthma breathe easier. Research published in the journal Annals of Medicine show that lung function can be improved with regular aerobic training, yoga, and breathing training. In the past, exercise has been considered risky for asthma patients, but the latest research shows it can actually be beneficial if done in consultation with a doctor. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves an alert day today for heat advisories as the dangerous heat returns to the 4 states. We've also got the possibility of some strong, maybe severe thunderstorm. We'll take another look at that forecast when we come back.
Right now at 6:30, the Kansas Department of Agriculture hosts a meeting to discuss planned flood insurance rate map.
And we've got an alert day today for dangerous heat with heat advisories out there. Heat index values up to 110 possible. We'll look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, businesses lend a helping hand following the announcement of the closing of the Tyson plant in Knoll, Missouri.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:28 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got a pretty decent start to the day again today. Yes. We don't have any fog out there to contend with, but unfortunately, we've got heat to contend with. And we've got heat advisories going into effect this afternoon across the majority of the area. We even have some excessive heat warnings into Washington, Nowata, and Craig counties in northeastern Oklahoma. For the heat advisories, we're looking at heat index values up to 110 possible. And for the excessive heat warnings, could see these index values as high as 115. All of these run through 8 o'clock tonight. So we do want to take a moment to remind you, you need to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit those strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight lightweight, light-colored clothing, and check on the elderly, and don't leave your pets out too long. We also have the possibility of some strong, maybe severe thunderstorms as we go overnight tonight. A very low tornado risk. We don't have any areas highlighted, but we do have a low to elevated hail threat and a low to elevated wind threat across the area, and this is mainly north of Interstate 44. So we have a couple things. One, we could see a couple of pop-up storms later this evening north of Interstate 44, and those could be strong with maybe some small hail and gusty winds. Then our better chances for actual strong, possibly severe thunderstorms comes early tomorrow morning. Here we are at 1 a.m., here we are at 3 with this batch of showers and thunderstorms, and there could be some large hail and perhaps some damaging wind gusts with that as it pushes on through the area on our Saturday. A couple of stray showers possible through the morning on Saturday, then we clear out and we heat up again as we go back into the mid, maybe even upper 90s across the area. And then we'll go into Saturday night, into early Sunday morning, we see another round of strong, possibly severe thunderstorms roll through the area. Here we are at 3 a.m., at 5 a.m., and then after sunrise, these start to clear out. A few lingering stray showers, a couple of thunderstorms possible. And then as we go into the afternoon and evening hours, we clear out again and warm up again as we go back into the low to mid 90s. And then as we go overnight Sunday into Monday, another round of strong, potentially severe thunderstorms out there as well. So as such, we do have another elevated risk for a good portion of the area as we head into our Sunday. Right now, though, again, a great start to the day. Partly cloudy in Joplin, 73 degrees, and temperatures around the area not that dissimilar from yesterday. We got 69, Yates Center, Iola, Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, 72, Nevada, Lamar, 74, Carthage, 70, Chautauqua, and 72 in Miami and Newada. We're going to heat up quickly, though. We'll have mostly clear skies to start our day, and that lets us get into the mid-80s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, we're looking at highs in the mid to upper 90s. We'll start to see a few more clouds as we go later into the mid-evening hours. And as we go later, that's where we could see, again, a couple of pop-up showers or thunderstorms north of I-44, and then we'll see our better chances for thunderstorms as we go overnight tonight and drop back into the lower 70s. As we look ahead, again, mid to upper 90s tomorrow, mid 90s for us on Sunday. Then we'll take a break from the heat briefly Monday and Tuesday next week as we go mid 80s to right around 90, and then as we head to the second half of next week, temperatures heat back up into the upper 90s near 100 degrees. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, local and regional businesses are trying to find ways to support the McDonald County residents who will lose their jobs when the Tyson plant closes in Knoll. It's a race to help about 1,500 soon-to-be unemployed workers and their families. Common Cup, a coffee shop located only 5 minutes from the Tyson plant, will offer resume and job application help on Saturdays starting this weekend. They'll have computers and translators available for those who need them as part of the Tyson workforce doesn't speak English as their first language.
We're just going to be here to help as many people to transition to whatever's next for them as we can. And it's going to be free. We're going to have just black coffee for everyone to drink who's here, and free coffee for anyone who wants to volunteer.
Put it in perspective for people outside of McDonald County, this is about 25% of their workforce within the county. I mean, it's a lot of jobs are being lost.
Access Family Care will also offer support to Tyson's current employees. Their application counselors will help those affected transition to marketplace insurance or Medicaid if needed. And the world's largest pork processor, Smithfield Foods, is closing a total of 35 hog farms in 3 Missouri communities. The company is closing 13 farms in Newton, 12 in Lucerne, and 10 in Princeton. Another 92 employees will be laid off in October. The Missouri State Fair is now underway in Sedalia. This year's fair features 10 days of live music, rides, demonstrations, and competitions. Mark Slavitt takes us to this year's opening ceremonies.
Governor Parson and University of Missouri President Moon Choi led a group of dignitaries at this year's Missouri State Fair opening ceremonies. Parson told the crowd Missouri agriculture remains strong despite this year's drought, high feed costs, and high fuel costs. The State Fair is a showcase for Missouri agriculture, which employs about 470,000 people and generates about $97 billion in economic activity each year.
It's always fun to come to the State Fair. People are always in a good mood, having fun, and just a lot of great activities here, along with learning about agriculture.
President Choi proudly told the crowd opening day is Mizzou Day. The new event makes the University of Missouri the fair's grand champion sponsor.
Well, I'm very excited that we can highlight our support for agriculture, extension, and really improving the lives of Missourians. We're so happy to be here.
This year's theme is Where Traditions Grow. Fair Director Mark Wolf and his staff are gathering fairgoers' favorite traditions, from small traditions, such as visiting the petting zoo, to bigger traditions, like attending the fair every day with your family and friends.
We've got all kinds of new free entertainment. We've got some great, actually, free entertainment this year that we haven't had here in about 15 years, and they are fantastic. So I encourage folks to come out, see what's going on with that.
Sedalia's Lynn Alexander has attended opening day for the past 31 years and is passing that tradition on to her family members, including her son, Lincoln.
What's your favorite part of the fair? That's what he's asking. Look, what's your favorite part of the fair?
A cow.
The cows?
Yes.
Opening day is also Mizzou Day with a gate admission of $7 for those 13 years of age and older. The state fair runs through August 20th. And the Kansas Department of Agriculture gave Southeast Kansas residents a chance to learn about the plans for a new flood insurance rate map. They hosted a meeting at the Erie Public Library where local flood experts could discuss how the new map would impact personal property. An updated map could determine whether someone should get flood insurance and how much it would cost.
A mortgage on your structure is within that floodplain boundary, then you're required to purchase flood insurance. These maps, though, they won't be effective until we're estimating early 2025. So there is still time, and that's why we're here today, is to allow the community and the public to make comments to make sure that we're getting accurate portrayal of that flood risk.
Planes were flown over the area in 2013 and in 18 to remap the area for more correct representation of the flood. So what better way to cool off down on a hot summer day than with a refreshing shower? Yesterday afternoon, the Chanute Fire Department hosted a spray day at Katy Park. Kids of all ages came out to splash around and have a great time beating the heat.
Well, I found out that this week they were closing the pool down because they had back to school events, and so they were closing the pool down to get everybody ready to go back to school. They'll open it back up for the weekend, but I just kind of wanted to do something for the kids before they go back to school.
Because they love water, and this is kind of an end of the summer thing because all the pools are closed, so this is kind of a last chance for them to get wet and be kids.
A national touring comedian is on his way to Pittsburgh this weekend. Jay Yoder is a public school teacher by day and comedian by night. He's currently on tour with a group of other comedians known as the Bored Teachers. They'll be stopping by the 5th Street Bar and Grill tonight at 7:30, the first time such an event has taken place at this venue.
I met Regina Weinmiller's producing the show, who's a local from Pittsburgh. We met on Zoom. We did some shows together in New York City, and she's like, "Why don't you come on out to Pittsburgh?" She's been trying so hard to get a comedy scene out here.
And then it turned out we're both teachers. We were both Spanish teachers. And it was just perfect. So we ended up connecting to bounce jokes off of each other and help each other get better at our craft.
Musical guest Seth Horn kicks off the night. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Target has recalled more than 2 million scented candles due to the glass jars shattering.
And we've got an alert day today for some dangerous heat across the area, and we're also watching the possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms. Take another look at your forecast when we come back, but first, got another live look from Arma, Kansas in honor of the upcoming homecoming festivities.
In Consumer Watch this morning, bringing down high price inflation is no easy task, and today's numbers from the federal government show just how challenging it is. Karina Kafa is in Washington with a look at where and why consumers are still feeling the squeeze.
A bump along the Federal Reserve's road to a target inflation rate of 2%. The Bureau of Labor Statistics said Thursday the Consumer Price Index rose 3.2% year over year in July, its first annual uptick in 13 months. Economists say there's more to that year over year figure, which is a far cry from a 40-year high of 9.1% hit in June 2022.
Well, it is not quite mission accomplished yet, but
a significant progress on the inflation front has been made.
Housing costs remain stubborn, up 7.7% from 1 year ago and pushing the overall annual index higher. The report said shelter costs accounted for the bulk of a month-to-month increase in overall consumer prices of 0.2%. With the housing market still coming down from its screaming pandemic-era highs and feeling the pressure of the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes to curb inflation, economists like Sungwon Son of Loyola Marymount University expect a turnaround in shelter costs, especially the rental market, ahead.
Sooner or later, we will see rents declining, and that's going to bring down the inflation rate quite a bit.
Energy and food also saw slight upticks from June to July. Items like beef, apples, and coffee cost more, eggs, chicken, and milk a little bit less. And airline fares and used cars and trucks were among other areas that saw decreases.
The Supreme Court has temporarily blocked a nationwide settlement with OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma. The settlement would shield members of the Sackler family who own the company from civil lawsuits tied to the opioid crisis. The High Court will hear arguments before the end of the year over whether the settlement can proceed. And Target has recalled more than 2 million scented candles sold exclusively at its stores because the candles' glass jars may suddenly shatter while the wick is burning. The recall notice says that the candles come in jars that can crack or break during use, posing laceration and burn risks. Target has so far received 19 reports of the jars breaking or cracking during use. And the CEO of UPS said on a quarterly earnings call that the company's drivers will earn an average of $170,000 in annual pay. Benefits at the end of a 5-year contract of this agreement, the Teamsters Union negotiated with the carrier last month to avoid a strike and secure a new contract for 340,000 union employees. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris now with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves an alert day today for those heat advisories as we're looking at heat index values up to 110 degrees possible. We're also watching the possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorms as we head into the weekend as well. We're going to take another full look at your forecast here in just a few minutes. But first, we're coming up on time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. Those are right after the break. But before we do any of that, why don't we head to New York City and see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
Hello to you, I'm Gail King, coming right up on CBS Mornings, your favorite morning show. 50 years after hip-hop was born, we're going to take a look at the music impact on dance. You go, MC Hammer. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings. Hammer time.
All right, time for some Friday birthdays here in the 4 states and anniversaries. And we begin with Ronald and Pat Olson celebrating their 11th wedding anniversary in Erie. It says to a wonderful husband, happy anniversary.
And happy 82nd birthday to Stanley Ryan over in Crestline, Kansas.
And also in Crestline, Fred and Angie Edwards celebrating their 17th year of wedded bliss. A happy anniversary to the Edwards.
Over in Pittsburgh, happy birthday, Mavis Brenner. Your note says, happy birthday from the Y.
And we've got Shirley Luton celebrating number 59 in Pittsburgh as well. Happy birthday, Shirley.
And happy birthday to Stephanie Fardvest over in Columbus, Kansas.
And Tobias Borland celebrating the big number 3 today. Happy birthday, Tobias.
And happy birthday to David Brown. He's turning 56 today over in Webb City. Your message says, happy birthday from your favorite sister.
All right. And we've got Angie Carpino celebrating number 98 in Arma. Happy birthday to you, Angie.
And happy 33rd anniversary to Mike and Tina Omi over in Pittsburgh. Congratulations, you two.
And our list continues with Archer Mingle celebrating birthday number 1 in Centralia. Happy birthday, Archer.
And happy birthday to BJ McDermott.
And Ella Buzzard celebrating number 75 in Weir. Happy birthday, Ella.
And happy 66th birthday to Bill Craig over in Jasper.
All right, great birthday and anniversary list today, much better than what it has been here lately. And if you'd like to contribute to that list, Caitlin can tell you how to do it.
That's right. Submit your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com. please include pictures or notes. We love having them. We want to highlight you on your special day.
And of course, while you're on our website, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It is easy to do. Additionally, you get great deals from local businesses and you get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign yourself up for that birthday club today. All right, we got a lot going on in the weather department. First, we have an alert day today for dangerous heat. We have heat advisories kicking in this afternoon for most of the area and excessive heat warnings in Washington, Newada, and Craig counties in northeast Oklahoma. All of these run through 8 o'clock. For the heat advisories, we're talking potential heat index values of 110 degrees, and for the excessive heat warnings, possibly up to 115. So we want to remind you to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, and make sure you're checking on the elderly. Don't leave your pets out there for too long either. We also have the possibility of some strong, maybe severe thunderstorms as we head into the evening and overnight hours. So we have a very low tornado risk. As you can see, no areas specifically highlighted there. However, we have that low to elevated hail risk and a low to elevated wind risk across the area, and that's primarily north of I-44, but we still could see some large hail and perhaps some damaging wind gusts. So pop-up storms are possible as we head into the evening hours north of I-44. A couple of those could be strong with small hail and gusty winds, but our biggest concern for more severe weather, or at least more organized thunderstorm chances, comes overnight tonight, very early Saturday morning. As you can see, 3 o'clock in the morning, we've got this complex of showers and thunderstorms, and these could be strong to severe with large hail and damaging wind gusts. Once that rolls through, a stray shower or two may linger, and then after that, we're going to clear out tomorrow. We're going to warm up mid to upper 90s again across the area, so additional heat advisories would not be surprising. Then we go overnight Saturday into early Sunday morning. We see another round of showers and thunderstorms. Those could also be strong, possibly severe, with the risk for damaging winds and large hail. We'll have a few lingering scattered showers, maybe a couple thunderstorms through the morning, and by the early afternoon that clears out and we warm up again around low to mid 90s on Sunday ahead of additional strong, possibly severe thunderstorms as we head into the overnight hours and into early Monday morning. And so therefore we've got another elevated risk highlighted for us on our Sunday. Right now though, this beautiful start to the day is kind of deceptive for how hot it's going to get later. We are at 73 in Joplin. Got partly cloudy skies out there. Temperatures around the region look great. 69 Sedan, 68 Yates Center, Iola, 70 Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Chanute, 72 Miami, 73 Neosho, Carthage, Lamar. So it is deceptively pleasant out there as we get our day started. However, it's going to heat up pretty quickly as that sun rises higher. We'll have those mostly clear skies initially this morning, and we will go into the mid-80s by late morning, and temperatures continue to climb as we head into the afternoon, into the mid, possibly upper 90s out there. We'll also see a few extra clouds as we get later into the afternoon, and that's ahead of the possibility of a couple of pop-up storms out there. And again, those should be confined north of I-44, and again, we may only see one or two, but that is a possibility. And then we go overnight, and those thunderstorm chances increase, and we go back into the lower 70s. As we head into our Saturday, again, mid to upper 90s, thunderstorm chances in the morning. Some of those could be strong to severe. And then thunderstorm chances, strong to severe thunderstorms possible again in the morning and then the evening hours. And we'll go low to mid 90s. Then we cool off a bit. Monday and Tuesday, mid 80s, right around 90 Tuesday. And then as we head into the second half of next week, temperatures return to summer-like and above average for summer in the area as we go back into the upper 90s to right around 100 degrees heading into next weekend with maybe a couple of pop-up storms Friday and Saturday of next week. It's a quick check of your forecast. Coming up, we're going to learn about some unordinary Barbies that are being handed out to migrant children. That's coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 when we switch over there at 7 a.m.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities confirm one of the 4 girls injured in a lightning strike at an Oklahoma swimming spot has died. The girls were swimming at Blue Hole Park in Mays County Saturday when lightning struck. The Grand River Dam Authority says 1 girl has now died of her injuries. 3 other girls have been released from the hospital. Authorities have not given names or ages. And authorities responded to reports of a stabbing incident in Galena. Authorities say this woman, Miranda Porter, is being held for aggravated battery and interference with a law enforcement officer. It happened yesterday morning around 10:30. Galena police were notified of a male subject with a stab wound in the area of 23rd and Main Street. When they arrived, they located a male with a stab wound to the abdomen. He was taken by EMS to a local hospital, and police found Porter in the home where the stabbing apparently occurred. A Granby, Missouri man is dead from an early morning crash. At about 3 yesterday morning, a vehicle crossed the railroad tracks on Wallaby Road, 3 miles west of Pierce City. The driver lost control of the vehicle, traveled off the right side of the road and down an embankment where it overturned. All 4 of the passengers suffered serious injuries. The driver, 21-year-old Trenton Wilson of Granby, died at the scene. And the Homeless Coalition of Jasper and Newton counties hosted a networking event for anyone struggling with homelessness. Twice a year, the coalition hosts Project Homeless Connection with multiple area vendors and services. Those services included legal aid, employment programs, veteran benefits, and more. Members of the community who are struggling with housing say this networking event connects them to friendly and understanding resources. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door, we've got an alert day today. Heat advisories in place. Heat index values up to 110 possible. Be mostly clear heading into the afternoon, mid to upper 90s. Could see a pop-up storm or two north of I-44 this evening, and then more thunderstorm chances overnight, low 70s. Some of those could be strong to severe with some large hail and damaging wind gusts. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Those will clear out early tomorrow morning. We're going to be hot again, mid to upper 90s. Then we'll go mid-90s Sunday with thunderstorm chances morning and evening, and those could also be strong to severe. A little cooler Monday and Tuesday, and the heat returns Wednesday and Thursday.
Sounds good. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making 4-cheese smoked mac and cheese in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Coming up on CBS Mornings, 50 years after the birth of hip-hop, Adriana Diaz takes a look at the music's impact on dance.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, a bear takes a bubble bath, and much to the delight of the internet.
Plus, a mother takes a cross-country trip to create forever memories with her dying daughter. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will be back here Monday morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.